YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back a day before the 2020 NFL Combine with an updated mock draft, my pre-combine mock draft with 2 rounds. So predicting the pick for every pick through 2 rounds here with a trade. Don't really like doing trades this early because it kind of creates a mess. So me having a trade in here means I'm somewhat confident on that trade being possible. Right before we get started with this mock in depth, 2 channels here. We have this channel and a newer channel. Please subscribe to both. You'll find a link in the description in the comments for that new channel, the Goat House Plus, with extra content. We got full NFL coverage here. We got you covered through free agency. Just got done doing a whole bunch of offseason plans where I play GM, more free agency predictions, and then full NFL draft coverage. No one does it like us. Subscribe. Follow our Twitter and Instagram. Those are must for the Combine. I'm going to be watching live, and I'll be reacting live through Twitter and Instagram there and answering any questions on Twitter. So you'll find a link down below. Those are must follows there. And then something new going on here at the Goat House Podcast. You can search that on Spotify. We are live on Spotify. Looking to add more to that. Hopefully getting on Apple soon. They're reviewing it. And then our Patreon, which you'll find a link in the description, has the podcast in video form, plus a lot of other and extra NFL content, mainly NFL draft at this time of the year. So a lot going on here at the Goat House. Really appreciate everyone's support. Let's get into the first 8 picks there. And you can see the trades in red. We'll get there. But Joe Burrow at the top, I'm glad he cleared up that he doesn't have a problem playing with the Bengals. I kind of assumed that all along, whoever spread that rumor. I think multiple people did. Just ridiculous. So Joe Burrow won. Not worried about the hand size. Maybe a little surprising that his hands are a little small, 9 inches, but not worried. Fantastic quarterback, showing improvement, can play any system. Really, he is the system when he's that good. The second pick is Chase Young, which is actually an interesting pick now. But Chase Young, edge rusher from Ohio State, a lot of people's number 1 player in the draft, just an instant impact pass rusher in either defense. 4-3, 3-4, kind of can build around him, whatever you feel best for him. But why it's interesting is, Ron Rivera said that they're going to talk to the quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Tua, and that's not, some people think that's surprising. It's not surprising. They should do that. Every team should do that. Every single team should always be looking out for the next quarterback. There's only a handful of quarterbacks that, are elite that can win the Super Bowl. So you always should be looking out. But it's interesting because it's pretty much a new staff in there in Washington. And as good as their defense is and bringing Ron Rivera in, they don't expect, I don't expect, and they don't expect to be picking at number 2 again really anytime soon. I guess it's possible with their offense trying to develop. So what I'm getting to is, could they take Tua Tagovailoa? They could, in my opinion, because I like Haskins. I believe in him. I'm not having any takeaways from his start, throwing interceptions. He looked a little better down the stretch of the season. But at the end of the day, it's very obvious, it's a fact, that Tua Tagovailoa is a better prospect than Haskins, much better. And if you don't think you're going to be picking at 2 anytime soon, and now you have a new staff, maybe you just get the right quarterback in there because you do believe in your defense and you can trade Haskins. It's tough. I know people may have attachment to Haskins at this point. I would too. But it could be. It's very interesting. It could be the choice. Again, this is predict the pick. I have Chase Young at 2. That's my prediction. So it's a long shot, but it's interesting and it's a thought. So that I do have the Dolphins swapping the Lions. I really do. This trade is very possible. They're going to have to wait to see if the Redskins do indeed leave Tua on the board after they're done picking there, and the Dolphins will move up. The Lions very well could be picking Tua too. That's another team. But they believe in Stafford. Their window's kind of closing for their coaching staff and in terms of possibly getting fired in the near future, in I guess their whole staff. So they want to win now. They're going to get Stafford the best tools possible, and they have potential to trade down 2 spots, gain a very good draft pick, and still get the player they want. So the Dolphins trade up. They need their quarterback. I would look in free agency. It's kind of a wild card, but I would look out for maybe a Teddy Bridgewater. But this is the route I think they want to go. They have the ammo to do it. Why not? So right now I'm kind of feeling this happens as long as Tua's on the board at 3. And he's checking out medically already. That's fantastic. And then I have the Giants taking Mekhi Becton from Louisville. Growing on myself, growing on everybody. This guy's an absolute freak. absolute freak, very dominant run blocker, probably already an elite run blocker, can grow as a pass blocker, but the potential is through the roof. The Bryant McKinney comparisons, I love. One of my favorite offensive linemen of all time, really, how he played on the field. So I love that comparison. I love the idea of Mekhi Becton here. And that's a Dave Gettleman pick there at pick number 4. So I believe that could be it there. And the Lions move back 2 spots. They gain that 39th overall pick in this scenario from the Dolphins. So you move back 2 spots. You're still getting Derrick Brown, which the Giants aren't going to take. Well, Gettleman does love his defensive lineman, but you have a very, very good feeling that they're not going to take him. And they still get him. I mean, Derrick Brown is absolutely dominant. The size that he is and the way he moves across the field into the backfield is absolutely ridiculous. A guy that can play nose, he can play anywhere on the D-line except for the edge position. The Lions, we expected more of an interior D-line success last year, didn't get it. Derrick Brown right away could be a top 5 interior defensive lineman in all of football. He's that good. The talk about Okudah up here even at 3, at 5, I'm not going to rule it out. I just don't see it because he is a very good corner. The value of the position has gone down in my opinion, and I think it's going to be in the eyes of a lot of these teams as well. The value of position has just gone down. Corners can be beat by these offenses. It's just go pick out the more athletic ones. Obviously, Okudah is the best one in the class, but Derrick Brown is the much better pick here, and you gain a pick. The Chargers, there's a lot. They very well could take Justin Herbert. I had Herbert here for a while. I think it's too early in my opinion. There's too much growing he needs to do. I think the Chargers will see that. But the main thing is the Chargers, that's a win-now team. That defense is very good. There's some free agents, but I expect them to get some of them back. You look at the running back situation, Hunter Henry, the receiver duo of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I should say. This team is, no matter what they did last year, this team is win-now mode, and they should be. They absolutely should be. I'd be very angry at them if they're not, and I'm not a Chargers fan or anything. What made them not a win-now team last year? Well, quarterback play, turnovers, obviously, and they're moving on from their quarterback, and then offensive line play. Jedrick Wills is a plug-and-play tackle. I don't care which spot. He's a plug-and-play tackle. Played right for Alabama, but there's confidence he can play either side. He's a dominant pass protector. I think they go to free agency, go try to get that quarterback, possibly a Teddy Bridgewater, but then Jedrick Wills, they plug and play there. They instantly get better. I don't think they want to mess around with the Herberts. If they believed in Tyrod Taylor a lot, I think they would have put him in last year. So I kind of like Tyrod Taylor, but is he going to win your Super Bowl? Most likely not. So I think at this point, I'm predicting free agent quarterback and a big-time offensive tackle like Wills here. Too good to pass. I talked about it before. The Panthers are going to be in the market. Matt Rule will be in the market of drafting the best player available because that's what he does, and they have quite a bit of needs. Isaiah Simmons is my number 3 player in the entire draft. Absolute freak. Sometimes linebackers got to come off the field, not Isaiah Simmons. He'll be in there either linebacker on third downs or at slot corner, in the box at safety, whatever you need. I like him at linebacker, though. The Panthers would love to add him with Shaq Thompson. That could be a very good duo, even though they lost Kuechly. That'd be a no-brainer pick at this point. The Cardinals, CeeDee Lamb makes sense with Kyler Murray, but they run more receiver sets at the same time as anybody in the league, and they definitely could use more top-tier receivers there. CeeDee Lamb with Larry Fitzgerald, with Christian Kirk, pretty damn scary with Kyler Murray throwing the ball. They could just look to get that right tackle in free agency. So I like CeeDee Lamb with the Cardinals. Still, we're moving on to the next 8 picks here. Jeff Okudah, probably too good to pass at 9. A top 10 player because he's a top tier corner. There's really there is no flaws to his game. He's today's NFL corner. Just where's the value of the position at? I'm not taking a corner super high, but I'll be comfortable taking him here. Kind of recoup there that top-tier cornerback position after losing Jalen Ramsey. The Browns take Andrew Thomas, a pretty obvious choice at this point. They need offensive line, the best one available at this point. They grab him, plug-and-play starter. The Jets take Jerry Jeudy, I think a top 10 player in this draft. The thing with him is, the guy's always open. That is like the best way to help your quarterback. Always open, very good after the catch. So the Jets take him, help Sam Darnold out. And this is where, it gets a little creative here with the Raiders taking Justin Herbert, because he very well could go well inside the top 10, maybe 6 with the Chargers, a possibility. I explained why I didn't have them going there. But the Raiders take him, and why I did this is because, the upside is through the roof with Herbert. Not improving throughout the years and not being able to read defenses or kind of go through his progressions at times is the concerning part, but the arm talent is absolutely, he probably has the best arm talent in this draft class. He really probably does, and that's ridiculous. But a lot of improvement needs to be done, but that'll be appealing to the Raiders. Another reason is, I don't think it's smoke that they want Tom Brady. If somebody said they're the front runner for Tom Brady, I would think that's smoke. But I think they would like him. So they're really looking to replace Carr. In this scenario, I don't think they get Tom Brady. Obviously, I think they keep Carr and they bring in Herbert to learn from him. I don't think they think Carr is their future quarterback. First half of the year last year, Carr looked pretty solid in my opinion. He looked like a top 10 quarterback in my opinion in the first half of the season. And then he really fell apart the second half of the season there. Does need some more weapons. It's kind of the downside of this. But you do have 2 first-round picks. They expect to be winning much more going forward. So when will they have the opportunity to take a guy with that much upside like Justin Herbert? Would I do that? That's the question. I probably wouldn't, really. I'd take a receiver and a lot. I hate going off needs, but the way you sit in the draft, it looks like a good receiver and a good linebacker with those 2 first-round picks will fall to you. So that would kind of be my thinking, but just depending on how the draft fell to me. But I think they would be in the market of doing this. I really do. It just feels like they don't, they're not going to be confident that Derek Carr is their future quarterback, really. The Colts, I think, will take Jordan Love or Jacob Eason. Deciding which one is tough. Earlier in this process as the season was ending, there was kind of rumors that they were really high on Jordan Love, and then it's kind of starting to fade towards Jacob Eason. I'm kind of buying the Love, connection a little more. But the thing with Eason is, the guy has, right there with Herbert, ridiculous arm talent. He has an absolute cannon. His positives are so high, like his good moments are so high, and then his bad moments are so low. But when the bad moments come into play, it's when the offensive line really did not protect him. It's when he had pressure in his face. So I can't really think of a better situation to go to than a team like the Colts where they have the protection. Jordan Love has just an insane upside. And I'm a fan of Love. He's my number 3 quarterback at the moment in the draft. So I think the Colts go that route, get their future quarterback there. Tristan Wirfs falls to the Bucs. A grade A scenario here. He plug and play at right tackle for them. Replace Dodson there. So that's perfect. Kind of predicted them to get Jameis Winston back in the scenario. And then Henry Ruggs falls into place to the Broncos. He's a top 10 player on my board. Electric speed, great hands, great route running ability. He's today's NFL weapon, really. So pairing him with Courtland Sutton gets me all excited. So the Broncos would love to have him. Decision here for the Falcons, Clavon Chaisson or AJ Epinesa. And then they go that Chaisson route. I think he can play 4-3 end or 3-4 outside linebacker or whatever. The Falcons have given some different looks, more of the 4-3 look though. I think the reason they were given kind of different looks is because what do you do with Vic Beasley? I always felt he was more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. But Chaisson showed he can do both. He has the traits. He's an absolute freak, and that helps in the run game as well. Chaisson, the safer pick there. At 16, it's pretty obvious they need a pass rush as well. Moving on to the next 8 picks. Somehow Javon Kinlaw just kind of sneaks through the cracks here. Just sneaks through. To me, another top 10 player, an absolute freak. And he shouldn't drop this far, but he just somehow, teams do draft off needs. It's a shame sometimes. And he somehow just keeps falling to this point, and the Cowboys won't be able to pass on him. They need interior pressure. It's not their biggest need, but too good to pass. The thing I like about Kinlaw, they actually had their weigh-ins this morning, at the day of recording this, 26 at the Combine, and he weighed in only 2 pounds less than Derek Brown, which is interesting. Which Derek Brown's super impressive because how heavy he is, how big he is, and how he's able to move. But the impressive thing about Kinlaw, 2 pounds less than Derek Brown, and this guy's made of a lot of muscle. And that's just freakish, absolutely freakish. This guy's going to be a hell of a pro. Shouldn't last to 17, but there's a chance he will. In this scenario, he did. The Cowboys can't pass. They get a hell of a ball player there. The Dolphins can't pass on a pass rusher they desperately need at this point. AJ Epinesa is freaky strong, very good hand usage, hand technique. You see him bull rush a lot. They'll like him. He's a D-end in any scheme, in my opinion. I think the chances are 4-3 defensive end. In this case, 4-3 defensive end. They need that pass rusher. Too good to pass at this point. Really thought about Josh Jones, but you look at the value here. A lot more value at the Epinesa situation. The Raiders Raiders do grab their linebacker now, Patrick Queen, very rangy linebacker, high motor, good in coverage, good at sniffing out runs in the backfield. Thing I love about him, just a couple years ago, he was a running back. I mean, just that limited time at linebacker and what he's able to do, and he's already, to me, a pro-ready linebacker, but at the same time has the potential through the roof, so I love that pick for the Raiders there. The Jags take a guy that's really growing on me, really climbing up my board here, is Ross Blacklock from TCU. This guy is an absolute stud, can play anywhere on the D-line pretty much besides pass rusher. Just so many great moves. You see him get that swim move a lot from the interior defensive line, and the strength too. You see him just grab and rip any lineman away from him. Stats-wise, it won't really show, but to me, on tape, he's got enough production. He's got the pressure. This guy's going to be a stud at the next level. We'll love him. For the Jags, they can put him pretty much anywhere on the D-line, which they need. The Eagles kind of need that speed and that big playability. Jalen Reagor is that guy. Insane speed. You've seen him gain a little weight looking at the measurements and the weigh-ins at the combine. We'll see what he runs. On tape sometimes looks like 4.2. Looks like he's faster than Ruggs that time. Not saying he's going to run faster than him. Gain a little weight. We'll see where he runs. I still think he'll run in the 4.3s, and that's still a huge, huge win for him. And usually with these types of guys, maybe they don't have the big catch ability. They'll go up and catch the ball. Well, he does. He has the catch radius. He's very good timing the ball as well. Eagles would love to have him. The Bills, I already see doing, I don't overreact from meetings because everybody pretty much meets with everybody for the most part. It just, sometimes we'll only hear about certain guys because we know for a fact that the player said he met with these teams. That's why we only hear it doesn't look like every team met with everybody. But what I noticed is the Bills right off the bat, first thing they did was met with top receivers, like guys like Higgins, Reagor, Shenault, guys like that. So it's safe to say they're in the market for finding that first-round receiver, as they should be. I wouldn't sleep on another pass rusher depending on what they do in free agency. I like T. Higgins for them on the outside. People are starting to sleep on T. Higgins. He's very good off the line against press, faster than you think. Catch radius is ridiculous, one of the better in the class. Surprise here, I had the Patriots taking Jacob Eason, quarterback Washington. He will go in the first round. The arm talent is there. I really think Brady could be back on the Patriots, but it's not going to be for a super long time. And when will they have the opportunity to kind of take a quarterback like this? 23 is very early for them. He potentially can go earlier in this. I was talking about the Colts, but I just don't see. I like Stidham too, but is he really the answer? It's just Eason's a different type of quarterback, the quarterback with more upside. And again, 23 is early for them. When will they have the chance, to get a guy like this? It's kind of a wild card pick there. Saints go Christian Fulton, cornerback from LSU. Maybe people are higher on Fulton than I am. It's very solid corner still. I would almost for the Saints prefer like a Gladney route. There's a couple other routes I could go actually, but predicting the pick here, I think Fulton can come off the board here. Very solid corner on that big time LSU team. He's physical, very good in press, very good technique, very good, sticky, running with people down the field. Pretty solid playmaker, could get off balance at times and doesn't have the crazy speed, so that's really the downside with him, but still a very good corner. And then moving on to the next 8 picks, the Vikings get Josh Jones. They need that left tackle, the future. I was actually kind of watching some of the Rick Spielman's interviews at the Combines, and he made it quite clear to me that the number one need is still offensive line. They're comfortable with 2 players, Brian O'Neill, their right tackle, and Garrett Bradbury, their center. I think they're okay with Klein, but he actually mentioned those 2 players as they're going to build around them. So I think they're going to be looking for that left guard and that left tackle. Good value here with Josh Jones, plug and play starting left tackle. Austin Jackson to the Dolphins. There's rumors about him in the top 15 even. I'm not really seeing that, but at the end of the day with his upside, he will go first round. The Dolphins get their quarterback, they get their pass rusher, their offensive lineman here. The Seahawks go Laviska Shenault, great value pick. He's in the top 15 of my board, actually. Ridiculous athlete here, and could run routes, could make that big catch downfield, jump ball catch, can catch the ball underneath, run after the catch, looks like a running back at times. The Seahawks would love to pair him with their duo currently. Love the fit of Kenneth Murray to the Ravens. It's an excellent fit. They can use him inside and out in that Don Martindale scheme. A lot of upside for Murray there. Very rangy, athletic linebacker. And then Titans take Zach Bond. I love the fit in Vrabel's defense. This guy's kind of known as he could be an edge rusher in a 3-4 or an off-the-ball linebacker in a 4-3. Titans run a 3-4. I'm calling him an edge, but they can use him in different ways. You see Vrabel kind of gets creative with an extra linebacker at times. And that's his type of player. And at the end of the day, they do need extra pass rush. Also love the fit of Justin Jefferson, receiver from LSU to the Packers, that type of receiver they need. Rodgers always extending plays. They need a receiver that can extend plays. To me, that's Justin Jefferson. Again, love the fit of Xavier McKinney to the Niners. He could be that great Jimmy Ward replacement, a perfect replacement, probably better than 31 on my board. Some good value here. In a corner I absolutely love, and again, this is predict the pick, but this is kind of me going on what I see. I recently watched some cornerback film, and Noah Igbinoghene, hard one to pronounce, still trying to get it down, but the cornerback from Auburn, just watched a lot of corner film, like I said, the other day, and this is my number 2 cornerback in the class after Okudah. I mean, this guy really stands out. 2 years ago was actually a receiver. They switched him to corner, and he's already a natural. And I love the kind of receiver go to corner because you kind of have to know both positions to play one at a high level. That's number one. He's very physical, very strong dude, very physical. He's actually a shade under 6 foot, but very physical, very quick with his feet, very good to open up his hips at the right time. I see too many of these corners that are pretty physical and press, but let the receiver come to them before they open up their hips. To me, he opens up his hips at the right time, and a absolute freak athlete. This guy's potential is through the roof. It's a corner that the Chiefs would love to have here. And again, he's actually my number 2 cornerback at the moment. I'm actually a big fan of him and Jeff Gladney's too, which I still have Jeff Gladney on the board here still. So I think what I'm predicting here is I think some teams will start to see, as the combine comes along, and then he's going to light up the combines, and they're going to go back to the tape, and they're going to see what I see and the potential moving from receiver to corner. I like Noah a lot. He's a big time player. I think he's a first round corner easily, and the Chiefs need somebody like that as well. And we're moving on to the second round here, 2-round mock here. The Bengals get Joe Burrow's teammate, Lloyd Cushenberry, who can play center or guard, which the Bengals really could use either or. I think they'll put Jonah Williams out at left tackle, so they need more than that. Denzel Mims has potential to be a first-round receiver, elite at the point of the catch, in my opinion. Great hands, great stride, great extension, very good hand check, creating that last-second separation from the corner. Probably the best in the class at this, actually. It almost looks borderline offensive pass interference, but will never be called. Michael Thomas does it all the time. It never will be called, never should be called. Denzel Mims is very good at that. It wouldn't surprise me if he was a late first-round pick. The Colts need that. That's what the Colts need out there on the outside, desperately. So would love that pick. There's Jeff Gladney, who actually have a first-round grade on. Very athletic, very long. Love his techniques, can be physical at the line, went against the high-powered Big 12 offenses too. You see the Oklahoma game actually was out the first half of that game. Oklahoma was scoring it up. When he comes back in the second half, Oklahoma can only throw to one side of the field because Gladney's got it all locked down there. So I like him a lot. The Lions grab him, play him opposite of Slay. The Giants need another pass rusher, a first-round talent in my opinion. Terrell Lewis can rush from the line, standing off the ball, and even standing off the ball on the inside. So that's a very rare talent, in my opinion. Gets after the quarterback, but has injury concern. That's why he drops to the second round. But the Giants, that's probably their best pass rusher, right? Depending on what they do in free agency. And then the Chargers take Javon Diggs, probably my number 4 cornerback in the draft. Very physical and very athletic at the same time. Not a whole bunch of experience at corner as well. Can get over aggressive at times, which isn't the worst thing because we can fix that pretty easily. Just some tackling issues. Chargers pair him on the outside with Casey Hayward to like Des King on the inside. Grant Delpit slides to the second round, and that's because tackling concerns, but very instinctive and a very good playmaker. Panthers will be in business of taking the best player available. They do that with Isaiah Simmons and Grant Delpit. So in the trade scenario, the Dolphins and the Lions swap picks up top 3-5, and the Lions, just for moving back 2 spots, get pick 39. So they're picking at 5, 35, 39. That's big time. They need a big time guard, in my opinion. Cesar Ruiz, who actually has experience at center, but he's a big time run blocker at the guard position. I would like him for them there. They need a starting guard. They probably could use a starting right tackle. Let's see if they cut Rick Wagner or not. The Cardinals at number 40. I go Marlon Davidson. I go Marlon Davidson. They could be looking for the right tackle. I plan on them looking at free agency in this scenario. Marlon Davidson's going to be a hell of a 3-4 end, in my opinion. If he goes to a 4-3 team, he possibly could play DM, but most likely slide into a 3 technique. He's going to get you pass rush from that 3-4 end spot in this scenario for the Cardinals. They need that pretty badly. I like Davidson a lot. And yeah, I think he weighed in just over 300 pounds at the combine. So that kind of tells you, more of the D lineman type. Some people still insisting on putting him as a, mocking him to, I've seen it to the Titans in the first round. That's a 3, and they put him at edge. Makes zero sense to me. Some of these guys, they got to know better here. They got to know better. So I like him to the Cardinals, 3-4 end. Like I said, there's a chance he can be a 4-3 edge, not a 3-4 edge. There's a chance he can be a 4-3-3 technique. Some teams I know for a fact would slide him to that 3 technique if drafted by the 4-3 team. So that's an interesting prospect. The Browns take Antoine Winfield Jr., the safety from Minnesota. My favorite cornerback of all time is his father. So I'm very excited about this prospect here. A guy that could really do it all at the safety position, but I like that he's very instinctive and will come up and make that play that he needs to. Browns get a starting safety here. They really could use 2 starting safeties if we want to get down to it, but can get away with 1 here, and here he is. The Jags take Brandon Ayuk. I mean, he only drops this far because there's so many goddamn receivers. This guy's extremely talented, extremely athletic, very long. He measured in at 5'11", which surprised me because you look at the guy in the field, you watch him. He almost looks, at least 6'1", It's because he's so long, and then you see the wingspan, 80 wingspan, and that makes sense. He's insanely long. That's, babies aren't born like that. They ain't born like that anymore. It's freakish. It's absolutely rare. I mean, look at LeBron James and how big he is. And I mean, what is he, 86-inch wingspan? And this guy's at 5'11" with an 80-inch wingspan. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's an absolute freak. He can read coverages. Only downside, his strength against press, playing against press. But the Jag, too good to pass. They need another playmaker for whoever their quarterback's going to be. So they go that route. And the Bears go Cole Kmet, tight end from Notre Dame. My number 1 tight end in the class. A lot of upside. Freakish guy that's going to be involved in the run game and the pass catching game. An absolute dominant piece in the red zone. It's what the Bears need. It's what they wanted out of Shaheen. They overdrafted Shaheen. I would have told you that at the time. And Kmet is a way better, way safer, I should say, type. I can't even compare the two because one's just so much better than the other one. But and the Bears may have to do this at pick 43 because you look at teams that could possibly need a tight end going down the list. I mean, the Falcons kind of standing out down there, and we'll get to the Steelers before the Bears' next pick as well. I mean, wild cards could be the next 2 teams. The Colts need somebody with Jack Doyle, and the Buccaneers, if they trade O.J. Howard, need somebody with Brait, and maybe Brait's not part of their long-term plans as well. So the Bears get a major upgrade. My offseason plan video for the Bears, I had them going quarterback. That's me playing GM. But what do I think? And this is predict the pick. I kind of have that feeling they're going to find somebody on Trubisky's level to compete with them. And they mainly look at pass rush possibly. Pass rush and maybe pass rush, corner, safety, maybe even offensive line in free agency. So they go into the draft, go with the tight end, and we're going to get to the Bears' next pick. But the reason they don't go sign a big-time tight end free agency because they have too much money put there already with a guy like Trey Burton. So this would make a lot more sense. And I think I'd rather have Cole Kmet than, people might call me crazy. I'd rather have Cole Kmet than an Austin Hooper. Especially for the price. The Colts need another defensive lineman. Whether it's interior or pass rush, really. But Neville Gallimore is too good to pass this point. Potential first-round player, defensive lineman from Oklahoma, can move around a bit on the defense line. The Bucs go Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's my number 1 running back at the time. We'll see what happens at the combine because some of these guys are so close. What puts him over the top is his pass-catching ability. So good, and can run the ball at a very high level as well. But we see today's NFL, what do the Bucs like to do? They like to pass the ball a lot. You need a pass-catching back in there, and you get a damn good one with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that makes them a lot better. Broncos, some good value here. C.J. Henderson, very physical corner, always tight in coverage. Some tackling concerns. Sometimes he's over physical, kind of like Trevon Diggs. So that forces him to drop a little bit, but too good to pass at this point. The Broncos need another starting corner here. The Falcons go DeAndre Swift. They need a big-time running back, and DeAndre Swift is that big-time running back. Keep him in the state there in Atlanta here, and they could move on from Freeman. I expect them to actually. So that'd be a big-time pick for them. Their offense gets that much better. Sadiq Charles, who I think I'm higher on than a lot of other people. I definitely think he's a lock to go in the top. Should be a top 50, kind of cutting it close here. He's a dominant left tackle, missed some games early. Some red flags I'm hearing off the field, but I like him, and I think he has the ability to move the right tackle if the Jets choose to do that. They need offensive linemen here at this point without taking one in the first round, going Judy for extreme value there. Next 8 picks, the Steelers. They're in the market for a tight end. They get the most athletic one in the draft, most likely, and pretty big, too, for how athletic he is. Big playability. So they go Hunter Bryant from Washington. The Bears need a starting guard. They're going to roll with the rest of the offensive line, in my opinion. I think they have confidence in them. 2018, a lot better play than 2019. Really wasn't that bad in 2019. People just kind of think it is because it wasn't as good as 2018. But at the end of the day, they do need one more starting piece. That's a guard. Take Damian Lewis. You could consider some other interior offensive line at this point. Take Damian Lewis from LSU. And most likely plug him in there with Whitehair and Daniels there in the interior. Cowboys need a starting safety. Ashton Davis I like a lot. You've seen him play center field by himself, but you've seen him at his best when he's in the box as well. So the Cowboys grab him there. I really want the Cowboys to take a receiver somewhat early. They need to grab one in this draft. It's going to be very important. They dropped a lot of balls last year. They're going to lose some through free agency. I think they'll get Cooper back, but they'll still lose some other ones. They need a receiver. They could look at, the next couple rounds to do that, though. The Rams could use offense line, and more offense line. Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin has the ability to play center or guard. The Rams really could use either one. Jordan Brooks, another one of those guys that I'm way higher on than other people. He'll be higher than 53 on my board, or lower number, higher on my board, though. Freakish linebacker, really carried Texas Tech defense. Not a good defense. A lot of tackles for loss, always in the backfield, flying around, rangy, good in coverage. Eagles need that. They could use a corner, but they need a linebacker pretty bad here. They need multiple. Very good value here. The Bills take Julian Okwara, edge rusher from Notre Dame. Not a whole bunch of production this year. That's because he was missed some games, and it's because they played a lot of option teams, always outside to contain, even dropping back in coverage. When he rushed the passer, he was successful. The Bills need another one of those guys. Extreme value. The Falcons sounds like they're not going to bring back Austin Hooper, and I understand why. I'm sure they would like to, but he's probably asking for $9 million or more. It's just too much. It seemed like a scheme-based tight end. He's very solid, has the injury concern, but they're going to find somebody they're going to plug and play in there that could be just as good. Hopkins, he's got some talent, freakish talent, really. I think he'll jump out of Lucas Oil at the combine. He's that freakish. Does have some drops at times, but also makes some ridiculous catches. What I like about him, some little things. After he catches the ball, he instantly turns and gets upfield. Pretty rare for these young tight ends. So the Falcons would replace Hooper with Hopkins, a lot cheaper and a little more athletic there. The Dolphins get their running back in J.K. Dobbins. So you see the clear top 3 running backs come off the board by this point. So the Dolphins get their running back here at 56. Could use more offensive linemen too, as well. Then we go on to the last 8 picks. The Texans could use a number of things here. I think they would like J.K. Dobbins, but off the board, maybe a little. I think Cam Akers probably the next back off the board. Maybe a little early. Taylor could be just worry about the wear and the really worry about the fumbling concerns. And then Anthony McFarland from Maryland's another one to keep an eye out for, and obviously Zach Moss too. But too early for another running back. Josh Uche, I think, fits their defense. If he gets drafted by a 3-4, kind of like Zach Bond, if he gets drafted by a 3-4 team, he will be an edge rusher in this case, and if he gets drafted by a 4-3 team, he'll be an outside linebacker. Not a whole bunch of experience setting that edge, rushing the passer, but when he does, he is very effective. So I like him there. And the Texans need that guy next to Whitney Merciless badly, so they take him there. Vikings in the market for their corner. They're also in the market for an interior defensive lineman. They could look to free agency for the interior defense lineman in this case. They take A.J. Terrell. Actually had a very, very good season up until the LSU game. Jamar Chase, absolutely ridiculous. And Terrell was with him a lot of the time, even though Chase got the better of him, obviously. Chase would be as good as this receiver class is, as much as I got 3 receivers in the top 10, 4 in the top 15. Jamar Chase would be the number 1 receiver in this class. He'd probably be a top 3 player. And other than that, Terrell was very good. What I like about him was if he did allow a catch, when he did, which was actually kind of rare, it was for very little yards, and he would instantly come up and make the play. And that's kind of what the Vikings were lacking there. So take A.J. Terrell here at 58. Gross Matos drops a little bit to the Seahawks here, the pass rusher, pretty productive. I think he's specifically a 4-3. That could make him drop a little bit, so only some teams may have him on the board, and that's kind of why he dropped a little bit. Some of these other guys that you're so flexible. We talked about Josh Uche. A lot bigger, though, in terms of Gross Matos there. The Ravens take Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson only drops because of his age. He's quite a few years older than some of these other guys, but a very, very good route runner. Very good route runner. One of the best in the class. class. Very good against top-tier corners. Very good against LSU. The Ravens need that type of guy to pair with Hollywood Brown and Miles Boykin there. Titans take Damon Arnett, corner, Ohio State. Another corner that's really growing on me. Pretty physical, very sticky in coverage. He wants to tackle, and he can tackle. The only downside is the position he puts himself in sometimes, kind of taking on the blockers, getting around the blockers, and sometimes the angle. But I love his coverage skills. I think he's a safe pick for anybody. The Titans, I think, need a corner more than people think. They could cut Malcolm Butler. I don't think they should or will. I think they'll cut him next year. And so it's Butler and Adoree Jackson out there, both of them who were hurt at times this year, and really no depth. So they need depth, and they need the starter of the future. And that's where a guy like Arnett. Thought about Cam Dantzler. I actually, that's the number one player that I had slipping through here. And I think Cam Dantzler is easily a second-round pick. Extremely talented. He's extremely underweight, extremely skinny. Not a problem for me. I never overreact from those things. But everyone out there, we all know how the NFL scouts, GMs, coaches overreact from stuff like that. They will. So there's actually a decent chance he can be early third. The Packers go Isaiah Wilson, the right tackle from Georgia. They very well could re-sign Bulaga. Even if they do, the Packers are always in the market for finding the future offensive lineman. They do a very good job of it. It's a good thing. But, again, this is predict the pick. I predict them to do something like this if Wilson's there. But at the same time, they're kind of that one step away. They made it to the NFC Championship game. They took a receiver in the first round. They could be looking for that starter, that impact player here, a tight end. I think they'll like Hopkins a lot. He was off the board, though. They could be looking for that linebacker, that defensive lineman to provide with Kenny Clark to take that next step. So that could be the route they go. A lot of the good ones off the board, so it could be a bit of a reach if they do take that next one. So in this case, they kind of get that right tackle of the future, and if there's any injuries, they can plug him in. I think could be a day one starter. The Chiefs go KJ Hamler, wide receiver, Penn State. Undersized but electrifying, always open, insanely fast, insanely quick. Yeah, always open, like I said. And the Chiefs are going to cut Watkins, I'd assume for sure, even though he's a big-time player for them, was big in the Super Bowl, $14 million on the line, you save that. And then Demarcus Robinson's a free agent. They're very, very thin on cap. They're going to be even thinner when they extend Mahomes, and they want to sign Chris Jones. So basically what I'm getting to is they're going to need another receiver, and a receiver that fits their philosophy, what they do will make them better, is right here at 63, KJ Hamler. Better than 63 overall on the board. Still here, they take him. Seahawks go Lucas Niang, who, if it wasn't for the injury last year, he would probably be a late first-round pick. But drops a little bit because of that, but I think he'll be good to go. And the Seahawks could use a day one starting right tackle, and they need to look for that future left tackle because Brown getting up there in age, getting injured. Obvious pick here, too good to pass. So we actually have some other tackles kind of on the board here still that are pretty good. I mean, you see the talent, a lot of good talent here that's still on the board. So this is pre-combine. We're going to have we'll be talking live reactions on Twitter and Instagram throughout the combine, but at the end of the days of the combine each day, like I did last year, I'm going to do recaps, who's the big winners and losers. So we got you covered fully. You're going to make sure you subscribe to all those channels and follow our social media, Twitter, Instagram. We got you covered. And as soon as the combine's over, we'll be back, and I'll try to push out for the 3-round mock, and we'll update it based on combine, because the combine does change things. People overreact from the combine sometimes, but it definitely matters. It definitely changes things, and especially in today's NFL where the explosion, the speed, the burst, all that stuff matters, and there's drills that matter too. People always see guys that rise the guy up the board. It's not just because of the 40 time or how high he jumps. I mean, I want to see, if we're going to talk, we'll give an example. Receiver in the gauntlet drill, that matters to me. I want to see them stay coordinated, stay balanced, stay on the line, catch the ball correctly, use their body correctly. Looking at DBs, they do the drills where they backpedal, get out of their break, run downfield, and go catch the ball. And I want to see them smoothing their backpedal, get out of the backpedal, turn the hips. I want to see them go high point the ball, don't wait for it. I'd rather them drop it and go high point for the ball than to wait at the ground and catch it like a punt return. Stuff like that matters to me. So we'll have you covered through all that. Really enjoy doing these videos. We have all kinds of content on our channel. A lot more on the way. No one does it like the Goat House. Subscribe to both of our channels. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Follow that podcast. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Appreciate the support. Goodbye.